Today, the Philadelphia 76ers got good news, I guess. You can call it good news. I think it's good for the future, but of course, it's never great when somebody gets surgery. But we got the announcement today that Joel Embiid got some surgery. We have a corresponding story to talk about as well. We're also going to talk about ways that the 76ers can go into next season stronger. We're going to talk about their payroll, some of the guys, whether they're young or otherwise, like Yabusele, of course, doesn't really have a lot of experience in the NBA specifically. I think this is his third year, but the guys that they've gotten great production out of and they can use similarly to Memphis last year and try to build as part of their core next year and just go into next season stronger. So we're going to talk all about that. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe because 80% of viewers are missing out by not being subscribed to the channel here. So make sure that you are not part of that 80, and we'll keep you guys locked in with all the NBA content as it rolls out. All right, so Philadelphia 76ers star Joel Embiid will undergo arthroscopic surgery on his left knee next week, a team official tells ESPN. Embiid was ruled out for the season in late February as he and the 76ers met with doctors to determine the best treatment to alleviate his knee issues. Embiid will be reevaluated in 6 weeks after surgery and is expected to make a full recovery, sources said. It will mark Embiid's second surgery on the left knee over the last 14 months. That last line is terrible. That last line is ridiculously bad. The fact he's had to have 2 surgeries on the same knee in about a year is really, really unfortunate. You do not want to hear that. You don't want to hear that he hasn't been able to recover from this and it wasn't responding the way that they thought it would last time. So they had to go back in there. That is absolutely brutal news. But hopefully, I want to be optimistic today. Hopefully, next year, it does respond the proper way. Embiid is able to get healthy and play. And it was just honestly, frankly, kind of sad watching him try to go out there, not be able to be out there. Try to go out there, not be able to stay out there. Try to go out. It was just all up and down. You know, at the beginning of the season, Embiid himself said he'll probably never play back-to-backs again, which is also extremely alarming to hear from your starting MVP, former MVP, you know, all the platitudes, right? Your superstar center. Like, you don't want to hear that, right? So, assuming platitudes is the right word. So that's just the thing about it. Like, it's just a terrible situation to be in. And this is also on the heels of a couple of weeks ago, them announcing that 76ers PG was received injections in his left adductor muscle and left knee on Monday and has been ruled out for the rest of the season. George is expected to be out at least 6 weeks. That's not the longest time span. He was obviously just mostly shut down. They told him, hey, we're not doing nothing this year. He was talking about recently prior to this, like trying to compete for a championship. I don't know what world he was living in. And if he needs any surgeries, I would hope that, well, obviously surgeries are tough to undergo. I would hope that he has the surgeries he needs so that, again, he, just like Embiid, can go into next season stronger. It's better when you get it now as opposed to later, so you can go into next season and be ready for training camp, right? Some guys try to wait until right before the season, and I always hate when they do that. But regardless, I do think that if he needs anything, he should get it done. But, you know, in terms of the 76ers, we've talked about them ad nauseum. We know everything about them. Extremely underwhelming season this year. They haven't been able to get right, like I said. And a lot of what I said about Embiid also applies to PG. The thing is that these guys are also not young. Like, they don't have that long of a runway. And if you're the 76ers, you've got both of these guys on your books for another few years at minimum. And this is pretty interesting, man. They've got Paul George 3 years from now, 27, 28, on a $56 million player option. Whew. Embiid, I've said several times on this channel that I know he's worth the money when he's out there. However, he's never out there. And if he's not out there now, I can't imagine how it looks 3-4 years from now. Assuming he's not able to get right in a long-term sense, right? Like, hopefully he does, and he's able to go back to playing 65, 70 games a season. That'd be really nice. That's not something he does all too often, if I remember correctly, but that'd be nice if he can find a way to put things together. I mean, that would require playing some back-to-backs, I'd imagine, but still, it's just a weird situation to be in. And these guys are on their own timeline. Like, they've got these younger guys on this team as well that we're going to look at in a minute, but Maxey, Grimes will be eligible for an extension here pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. They will have to pay him, of course, and he's been performing extremely well. They've got some of these other guys down here that are going to need contracts as well, like Yabusele. And if I'm the 76ers, it's just kind of hard for me to put together a team with all the questions around two of my big three, two max players on my roster. That's a lot of salary, right? And it's kind of hard to put a team together with the questions. But alas, they do have some guys that have performed pretty well. So most notably, Quentin Grimes. He has been killing it. This is just the last 10 games. So look at these. Look at this box scores. 35 points in that game. 29, 28, 46, 28, 25, 26, 22, 15, 26. My goodness. That's ridiculous. How is he doing this? Well, a lot of high volume, high percentage three-point shooting is one of the main ways he's getting it done. He's had a couple of games in here where he's also been able to get to the free throw line exceptionally well. 10 free throws, 11, 13, 9, 6. He's been able to get to the line as well, but mostly he's getting a lot of shot attempts. And I don't know if that was to him, but I think somebody told him that he'd go back to being in the corner not too long ago when other guys get healthy. And yeah, that's probably going to happen to an extent. I mean, there's only so much to go around. But what I'll say is with all the questions around the health of their top two stars, or really two of the three, because I think Maxi's better than PG, but whatever. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for a guy like Grimes to try to continue this. He'll have nights where he's going to get the ball in his hands a lot. He's going to get to take 15, 20 shots, right? And I don't know that those will be all too few and far between. So we'll see what happens. But he has been somebody that's been exceptional for them, has vastly outplayed his current contract. Part of the reason, I guess, the Mavs traded him is because they probably didn't want to pay him. They thought maybe also Max getting in there made him a little bit expendable, but whatever. So if you're the 76ers, you absolutely got a diamond here that you need to have as part of your core going forward. But not just him, some of the other guys that are on the roster now, they're not all going to retain, but most of these are younger guys or rookies or guys that haven't had that much opportunity. A lot of these guys have had very good stints here for the team. Some of the guys they've gotten production from, like Hood Schifino, hasn't really panned out to the extent that they would have probably hoped there. But he's a part of this list anyway. You know, I put him in there. But Lonnie Walker, 12 points, 37% from three, 43 from the field. Those look like mostly career Lonnie numbers from what he's been able to do over the last 10 games specifically. That's what I have sorted here as opposed to on the season. And the reason I did 10 is because the 76ers are 9-1 in terms of loss, 1-9, I should say, in their last 10 games. There's not a lot of some of these guys would have played Yabusele. Some of these other guys maybe didn't get as many opportunities earlier. Yabusele doesn't fall into that. Of course, he came into the season with a big opportunity, but I digress. But Dembona has been really good for them as well. Jared Butler, they've got great production from him, but Justin Edwards as well. Nearly 17 points in this span. 41% from three on 5.5 attempts per game in the same span. Jared Butler, 38%, 47 there. Both of these guys flash a bit of 3-and-D as well. So I think that's more or less what they're looking for. And I think that's the right idea, knowing their GM. That's assuredly what he's looking for as well. I think they've got some young guys that they can have as part of their core, like I said, and they're going to need that. They're going to need some of these guys because a lot of these guys are going to be eligible for extensions or have options. Oubre, is he taking an $8 million option? Probably. I don't know if there's going to be much out there. Like, there's not a lot of, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's just, there's not a lot of salary out there. But I assume he can maybe get a little bit higher. But teams are now trying to save their mid-level exception. So I'm not really sure. Drummond, Gordon, what's happening with them? But some of these other guys, like I brought up earlier, are also locked in. Council, Bona, Butler, and Edwards and Walker are also down there with, I believe, team options as well. So they've got some cost-controlled guys that have performed well. All right, so back to the story here. Once again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. 76er star Joel Embiid will undergo surgery on his left knee. The procedure is being done with the goal of reducing the symptoms Embiid has been experiencing and will allow him to perform at a higher level. After being ruled out, Embiid and the 76ers started meeting with doctors and specialists to determine the course of treatment to alleviate his knee issues. This is the second surgery over the last year. Embiid will be reevaluated in 6 weeks and is expected to make a full recovery. Prior to being shut down for the season, Embiid experienced continued pain and swelling in his troublesome knee. He underwent multiple rounds of imaging and treatment in an effort to forge a path forward. Embiid played in just 19 games this season due to lingering issues with his knee, averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Was the All-Star in last season, 22-23 MVP, played 39 games last season after tearing his meniscus in the same knee. So quite a few questions surround the 76ers, and that's partly because they chose to lock themselves into it's one thing to have Embiid, but I am very critical of the PG piece. I don't know if that was necessary, right? I don't know like how PG specifically is gonna look. I don't know how either is gonna look, but like PG is already like what 34. I'm very, very skeptical of that. And unless he's gonna be an all NBA level defender, giving you 18, 5 and 5, I just don't think he's worth that money. You can make an argument that's all NBA I'll give, but if he's not that, he's definitely not worth that money in my opinion, because it's not like he's a playoff riser, right? So that's one of the things that I want to say, but hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and if you haven't seen our latest video, make sure you check it out on your screen right now. We'll see you over there.